Hey, my little goofballs, SD Wolf, welcome back to the channel. Did not get as much done this week as you all were probably assuming I would. This was just a weird kind of week. Did not have a lot of Planet Coaster 2 time, but I did get quite a bit of tinkering done. And as a matter of fact, by the time you're seeing this, update 329 of Wilderness Springs is already on the workshop. Now remember, this is PC only. The park has outgrown the allowed complexity of consoles. So unfortunately, sometimes I'll get console people that may be new to the channel and they'll be like, I don't see it. It's not downloading for me on the workshop. That's just a console thing. I think they still have the complexity meter, the bar set very, very high to where you can't, parks like Wilderness Springs are just, they're not going to be accessible to console players right now. Even when Yan was helping me with the wing coaster that you see off to the left, the park is past the point where even he could jump in and build the coaster on site. He had to build it on his own map, and I had to import his blueprint into Wilderness Springs because he's a console player. And like I said, unfortunately, I wish they would raise that limit just so more of you guys could jump in and kind of explore Wilderness Springs yourself. But as of right now, that is just not going to happen. So hopefully they'll figure some more things out and they can do some more testing and get more of you guys into these larger parks with that, not being held back so much by that console limit. But this right here, this is the entrance to what is going to be our cargo Bigfoot cars ride. I was just trying to come up with some kind of, I like the archway that kind of symbolizes you're going into an important area. One of the biggest things about this build was, though, I had to make sure I didn't encroach on the area too far because it's kind of small enough as it is, and we're gonna have to worry about putting an entire mountain and ride over here with a queue and a staging area. And so it was, I definitely hear you guys when you've been saying like, man, that is going to be, you do not have a lot of space to work between the back of the gas station over here to the creek. So, it's one of those things I talked about where I think it's going to push our talent and our vision, and it's going to really just require us to think in terms of, we don't have a massive giant wide open space, so we're just gonna have to be smarter about the design. We're gonna have to be smarter about how we lay out the terrain and how we're gonna do the essentially the race to the top of the mountain. There's a lot of things we're gonna have to consider when we really get back here and start thinking about this layout. And almost that's what you could almost say this whole episode was kind of me tinkering, putting that off, because I just have no clue how I want to start this yet, like which way the station's gonna point, where the station's gonna be. But it's intimidating but exciting at the same time, because I know a lot of you guys were kind of saying it sucks that the Phantom Manor had to be implied, and you guys are like, I want to see real actual rides. I don't want everything to be implied. So that is I think that's what's going to be fun about this build. It's going to be the first one in a while not having, not bringing a blueprint in via one of my buddies, but going back to an actual SDAN attraction, no being bailed out by a blueprint. So that's what's kind of fun with it. It's like I said, very intimidating, very exciting. Makes me kind of anxious because I don't know what direction I want to go with it yet. But I'll think about it throughout the weekend, and I have the game pulled. It's pulled up right now in the background, so I've kind of just been, like I said, tinkering, if you will, kind of filling in little missed gaps in Grizzly Gulch, filling in some missed foliage, rock work, support work on the bridge. I'll show you that in the real time, but it's kind of like sometimes I'll do that when I'm nervous about an area. I'll just go back and it's like I'll mess with every single piece of the park except for what we're supposed to be, what we're here for. So I think that's just kind of like my process of building up to a big area in a big ride. And I think too, like, people have a lot of there's a lot of expectation for this ride to be very unique, have a very unique, fun story. You know, something we haven't seen tried a lot yet in the context of Planet Coaster 2. And I just think it's gonna push us. I'm kind of, you know, I'm almost just like a little nervous just talking about it, because the, you know, just the expectations that I put on myself and what you guys have for this area. And the park is just so like, the park just has so much lore now, and you guys are so into this build, and I could absolutely not thank you guys enough for the just reception of Wilderness Springs. And you wouldn't believe how many comments or messages I'll get that people just like, the biggest compliment that I get is when people say, I wish this was a real park. Like, I wish I could go and stay at Wilderness Springs and go to the water park and go to the theme park. And that is just that just makes my day when people say that they wish this was real. And you know, that's what I said kind of in my top 5 tip video when you're building projects like this and whole theme parks. I always approach it just like that. I tell myself, with these builds and the scenery and the water and the bridges and the rides, I build things that I would like to see in real life. If I'm not doing a recreation, that's exactly how I approach it. I just always think, what would I like to be standing there and seeing? And that's where a lot of my ideas come from. Now, of course, ideas can spring from Pinterest and other members of the community and the cool stuff that you see popping out there. I love Frontier Springs. You know, I really enjoyed a lot of Geekism's projects that he had going on, and just, you know, I get a lot of inspiration from you know, builds like Mary's Revenge, when he's doing like his Disney World recreation right now. But a lot of times, you know, too, I'll fall back on, what would I want to experience in a theme park setting? What hasn't been built out there that I would just be an instant annual pass holder and spend like every weekend at it? And so in my mind, Wilderness Springs has become one of those type of projects where it's like, you know, maybe an hour and a half from your house, and you just, you know, you go up on the weekends and you sometimes rent a room, sometimes you don't, sometimes you're just there for the day and you come home. But it's just, I've kind of tailored it to be in one of those parks. It can be a full vacation park, but it could also just be popping in early on a Saturday and leaving at 1 or 2 o'clock. Like, that's kind of how we've almost tailored this experience. But anyways, I don't have a lot of time lapse. Like I said, it's just been a lot of tinkering. Let's jump over to the real time and we'll jaw it up a little bit about how the park sits as of Saturday, March 29th. So hold on 1 second. All right, guys, we'll jump in here and just explore a little bit. Like I mentioned in the time lapse, did a lot of Grizzly Gulch kind of tinkering. You know, the overall consensus was to absolutely put Haribo's saloon back, and I think that was a good call. It just looks wonderful in this little corner right here. It kind of breaks up your area of going into or coming out of Country Fair into like the little side entrance of the Grizzly Gulch area. I think about me and Jonty were probably the only ones that said, yeah, get rid of it. It looks cool to see the, you know, Phantom Manor kind of there in the background. But, you know, alas, I think that you're right. It looks really, really cool to have that in there. And the reveal almost makes it that much more impactful, like gives it that much more of a punch when you can't see it all the way across the land. So yeah, I just love how the Phantom Manor kind of sits almost imposing up on that hill. Remember, we raised the terrain a little bit, and you know, just the separation with the creek. I think it just fits really, really well. And I'm so happy that the land is so much more tied together now. So, you know, we talk about how split up it was before, and now, you know, when you come into Grizzly Gulch, you have the mine ride, you've got the saloon, the pathways, and now even the manor, just all of it just fits in this land so much better now than being, because remember, it was way over there, kind of like it sat right here just 2 weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago. So just so much more better for a cohesive Grizzly Gulch story. And this little area is kind of what you were looking at on the time lapse. This is going to be our entrance to the Bigfoot. You know, I don't know, like I said, I still haven't decided on a full name. Fire Mountain area over here, and this is kind of what's going to peel you off that way. And I think this is just, it really fits the vibe I want to go for what's eventually going to be a very large ride back here. And you know, I think it's going to almost looks like a chicken leg, like a thigh leg here, but it is going to definitely push the outskirts of the wing coasters border and station area over here, and you have to use kind of all of this space. And you know, I was kind of looking at it as well. If Willow Grove has to be pushed in a little bit to give me a little more space, I think that's going to be okay as well, because you see we've got a pretty good little buffer hill right here that was essentially for the train. And now that that's gone, we actually have a little more space to work with, but still keep that tree line kind of separating the Willow Grove area. And remember, this is like our kind of like Willow Grove. Think of it as like the Wilderness Springs smaller event area, weddings, corporate parties, family reunions, stuff like that, over the larger resort hotel across the way, Grand Falls Lodge. So, you know, I was just kind of looking at some aerials, and I'm like, you know, if it calls for it, this hill can encroach on the Grove a little if we had to. So, I don't know. We'll see. We will see how it goes. Like I said, I also kind of, I may even move this a little closer to the water just so that can give us even that much more space. Of course, you'll have to have a safety wall over here. Like I envision, this is kind of like the path that's going to be in Frontierland in Disney World, where their cars ride, unfortunately or not, where Tom Sawyer Island is, where that ride is going to go. People are still going to be able to walk by out here and view it, and that's kind of like it's going to have the same vibe as you're going to the wing coaster. You're going to be able to see elements of the car ride over here, and you're going to be able to kind of see elements of the mountain. So, that's just kind of my thought process right now, what I think needs to happen, what we're going to try. And, it's just interesting, kind of all of the work that's going to go into this. I don't really have anything yet also that's going to go out here. People were asking if there was going to be a drop tower ride or some more flat rides. And, one can argue we need some more rides. So let's just think about this. So as far as rides go, let's just go from the entrance. So we have one. We'll not say rides. We'll say attractions, so we can count the train. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Eventually, 11 asterisk. So right now the park boasts 11 attractions, which, seems like an okay number, but I definitely would want to make sure that you guys have enough to do and explore. So right now we have 3 coasters. Got Jans Barnstormer, Mine Train, and the B&M, the wing coaster. So, ride count right at 11, possibly 12, 13 by the time this is done, or like when Wilderness Springs revamp 2.0 is done. So I don't know, we'll just kind of have to see how it goes, what we can, I don't want to cram stuff in there to where it doesn't look good or fit the story, but at the same time we want to make sure there are an ample amount of attractions over in the park. Park is, it's looking so much better. I love these, like these early morning shots. Like maybe when everything's just kind of starting, like the cast is getting there and starting to get things tested, and they're starting to get the chairs and the umbrellas set out. This is just a really cool time of day. Getting things maybe set up at the stage, the Phantom Manor, like they're starting to do some test runs. Maybe it is an early park entry ride. Letting the train run. I love this shot right here of the train. I just love this bridge. This has such a cool look when it just helps with that kinetic energy of the park, of things just happening and moving. But I figure a resort this large, one of the perks for staying on property would be early park hours. So maybe the early park hours you can get in at 8:30. Maybe the real park opens at 10, and you could ride monorail over and get in early, or vice versa, go down and enjoy the water park early before the public crowds are allowed in. Could be very, very cool. Jump down and get you a quick dip in Thunder Bay. So yeah, that is the layout right now. I just, I still, guys, like, could absolutely kick myself for, thinking that original Wilderness Springs was, satisfactory, or like that was good enough to end the series on. I was just, that was creepy. I was a little naive back then. We should have stopped, and we should have taken our time a little more, and really kind of thought of it in terms of like we are now, with taking our time, not rushing it, filling out designs better. But we're getting there. Really love how that mountain, like, I love that view, like when you're coming down through here, how the Mine Coaster's mountain kind of sticks out, kind of pulling you that way. That's just a cool angle. And then, of course, too, we keep talking about this little spot. I want to get you a proper SDAN restaurant over here, not going the blueprint route. I want to try to make it to where, it's like our design, custom. Oh, this is a pretty shot of kind of like the sunrise coming up over the peaks over there. Really, really cool glow out here. Got to figure out this little building. A lot of little things we still got to poke around with, but we're getting there. Whoops. Oh yeah, that's that early morning sun. Or excuse me, late afternoon. kind of that could have a morning vibe to it though, almost like the mist coming in. Take it back to like lunchtime. This is kind of the light I build in a lot. This is kind of like, I think, the brightest point of the day, and it just feels like this is like when you should be working. Oh, real quick, a lot of people ask about settings before I let you go. Remember, this is, I've gotten a lot more frames and a smoother experience since Mary's Revenge told us about switching over to NVIDIA DLSS and changing over to balanced. And then everything else, the card, it pretty much handles this stuff on medium, high. It's the 2080 Ti is still a very, very well balanced card for this game. I play in just 1080p, borderless, VSync on, all of this stuff. I turn off my motion blur, depth of field. So yeah, just wanted to give you a look at that. All that stuff's usually left on high. And that is S-Stand's settings. So still, you can see how quick I still move around with all of the, you know, basically 100,000 pieces. And Mary's Revenge coming in and telling me about that, that DLS change. You could see how quick we still move around, and everything's on high too. So, you know, very interesting find that was. But anyways, guys, I know I've jabbered on here long enough. I just kind of wanted to have a little chat with you before the weekend was over and just let you know kind of where we sit. So anyways, yep, I will catch you guys in the next one. Let me know what you think about that new car ride area. See ya.